I wonder what the translation in English sounds like. We'll try to speak English. Fantastic that we have this huge audience. I wasn't sure because we have so heavy competitors on the other stages. So it seems like that we have the topic to talk about, or you are the people we have to talk with about AI. I'm Frank. I'm just the moderator. I'm just asking questions. I don't know nothing. They know everything. So don't ask me anything. If you have questions to the single speakers, we cannot do that on stage. We'll have the possibility in the mid break, so you can just grab a hand of the speakers and then talk to them. And they're pretty specific in their certain areas, so they're different. The what you said, the idea of the talk was the first headline was AI tools, and we came in our preliminary call. We came to the solution, or to the thought that tools is just an aftermath thought. We have so many tools. There are tools for everything. So we can, whatever we can imagine within Shopware or with or outside of Shopware, you can do everything with AI. AI is in every software process right now, either better or worse. But that's not the paradigm we are striving for. We look for how can we make money, how can we survive the maybe disruption that is turning out to come, like Sebastian mentioned downstairs. And for that, we need to have a strategy. We need to have some tactics. We need to have, let's say, very reasonable view of the reality or of the near coming future of our users. How does AI happen to them, and how do they use that? Because that defines everything we have to do. And so we have some tools we talk about, but that's not the only thing. We embed that in thinking tools and processes. Just to start with, I'll show you who we have on stage. On my left, no, on your left, on the first seat here, this is Thies Widmer. He leads digital sales at Paulmann Licht, which is business to consumer company. They do the whole lighting topic, and there's one very interesting thing about that. If you look at the website, you can do that along our talk. You'll see that there's lots to do with inspiration. So if you think about your rooms or your offices and you think about lighting, you say, okay, just put a bulb on the ceiling and that's it. But you can do a lot better, and you can make it a lot nicer. And so a term like nicer, how does that work? How do I transport this information through AI systems? How does that work? How does inspiration work on ChatGPT? That's one of the big questions. Please welcome Thies. In the middle, we have Jonathan Roxlau. He's head of digital at a company called Wurm. Oh yeah, I have to I have to click to the next one. There he is. And you see his quote. We all had some pretty aggressive quotes in the beginning, and one of us turned a bit back, but I won't tell who is. But if you read the quotes, you'll see that there is a lot of mistakes to be made, and maybe to be a bit careful with how fast we know or we believe to know how AI works. Paul and I just discussed in the break before this talk that there are so many people out there that use AI only as efficiency tool. They use AI to make their existing processes more efficient. Like, for example, we as journalists do something like transcription of an interview via AI. Something like that. That's okay. But everyone will do that. So that's no competitive value. We will not make any more money. We will not attract any more customers by that. It's just commodity in a couple of weeks or months. And so why don't we look at the possibilities that AI enables us or gives us to experiment, to make new things, to create new ideas. So Jonathan, he works for Wurm, which is a B2B company, actually. They do decoration stuff as a wholesaler. So different target group, smaller target group than B2C, and as well a lot of inspirational content because it's about decoration. Welcome, Jonathan. Third is Paul Krauss. A couple of you will know him already because he's on every e-commerce stage there is. He'll be at K5 next year. Yes, thank you. There's two things I can do wrong. I can talk wrong or I cannot click. I did one thing wrong already. So let's see where the next thing comes from. So Paul is on every e-commerce stage there is. He brought out last year 5 theses, I think, on how AI will evolve, how AI will change customer journey, and how big the disruption or the change needs are for shops. You should look at the video. It's on YouTube. It's very interesting. And he's a consultant actually, and with the company Team 1 developers, they go into businesses and try to find solution not only in e-commerce field, that's Paul's topic, but actually in every field of software development. The company itself is coming heavily from the automotive industry. Welcome, Paul. Now we spent so much time already with getting to know each other. Just let's make it short. I have some data to accompany the keynotes of before and to illustrate where we're heading. One of our big topics is the question, how deeply does customer journey change through AI? We had the question of Sebastian. Sebastian asked downstairs at the main keynote, who of you used AI already for research of products? And almost all of you lifted their hands. And who of you is prepared? Which shop is prepared for this scenario? None is. Capgemini had a study, and they come up to the number that at the end of 2025, there is 16.5% across the EU, European Union, of consumers using AI for research. 16.5. So boil it down to Germany, it's 12 million people. That's a lot already. And I think, I might be wrong, but that's just a guess. I think we're at the beginning of a hockey stick curve. Within 1 or 2 years, we'll see everyone using at least in some scenarios AI. If Google continues with the integration like it does it right now, you'll come across it anyway. So it's 12 million people. Most of them, or the heavier part of them, is younger generation, so Gen Z. The average is 21%. So it's more than in the other age groups. But the boomers are catching up, is what Capgemini says. And Criteo has found out that from those people who use AI tools for research, there's 47%, so the half of them, use it for product comparison, so which product is the better one, and 40% use it for price comparison or finding offers. That's a huge amount. So we see already now, as Sebastian mentioned, the customer journey has already changed. It's not changing, it has changed, and we have to adapt. We have 3 questions in this round, and we'll discuss first the question of the customer journey. Does it change, and how severe does it change? Let's start with the round. I'll open the question to all 3 of you. You can answer as you wish. Do you believe that people will send out their agents to shop, and to what extent will that happen? Please go ahead.
Yes. I'm not quite sure if they will send them in a way that is automatic, just to do their daily work. We heard of this before, but I believe that there's a touch point. You have some need, and then you will go to your chatbot and try to solve the problem. That is more the scenario that I see by now for most of the products that you can buy in e-commerce.
you have a problem with a product you have, so you would turn to the brand or to the retailer to solve that?
No, just something you have to manage. Some problems, some lighting problem. Maybe you have a new home and you want to buy the right lighting for that, and then you go into it. I don't believe that much or too soon that agents will hint you for that interest or for that need.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't believe.
To our inspiration topic, Jonathan, what do you think?
As you already know from my quote, I'm quite skeptical in this agentic thing. And when you know me, I'm always talking about this. I don't see that people will outsource the joy of buying to agents. I think people will go to brands, they would come to shops through AI. Yes, it's a traffic source, but the buying session will take place by humans. And that's my point where I don't see that people will have their own agents to buy their closest, to buy even in B2B. In our sector, people are choosing items to sell them in the point of sale to humans in a human-to-human connections. And I don't think people will outsource this.
But that this you're biased with that because the topic you deal with is emotions. It's decoration. It's all about what do I like. So it's hard to quantify. Would you believe me, or would you go with me that I say you must defer whether a certain product range or a certain kind of products the shopping process is relevant, funny, emotional, and others where it's not. And
Definitely, but on the other hand, we had these kind of situations already with the Amazon Dash button. We had those situations where we pushed it on our washing machine to order our washing powder, and the European Union stopped that. And we don't use that anymore. And I have the same concerns in this agentic situation. But there will be definitely unemotional products will be bought by agents. This will not be the thing, but in our case, and for us as a brand, and we don't want to be dependent on marketplaces or anything, I see it not in this agentic commerce.
Mm-hmm. Paul, what has changed since the advent of the dash button, or even if we talk Alexa and the smart speakers, we had the discussion about conversational already. What has changed since then? Is there a new paradigm that makes the differences bigger and possibilities higher?
A very good question, and even a follow-up question is what Effe already has in his previous keynote. What doesn't change? And interestingly, what doesn't change? Nobody asked for Google ads, right? But we get them. Nobody asked for these kind of sponsored ads in Amazon. So I totally agree on the points that you have, Jonathan. But the other problem is platforms couldn't care less. So they put a shit ton out of money on data centers, AI infrastructure. If you take a look what Google is doing with Spark and all these UCP and Universal Card, no one is asked whether they want it, right? You just have to use it. So it's embedded in your phone. So the dash button comes as a separate physical device that needs to be installed. And we all know the problem. It's also branded on one explicit product. And now these like universal machines that can do everything for you. They can shop for you. They can do your homework. They can do your calls with your family if you want to. So you can pretty much delegate all of your thinking, all of your decision making, and all of your delegation of everything you do to an AI, theoretically. I'm not saying that's a good idea, obviously, but many people will do that because it's super convenient. So as soon as Agentic Commerce gets super convenient, I will buy my toilet paper, my everything for the cat apart from food, and like ton loads of stuff in different categories because the convenience is just let's say the constant. So whatever changes, people will always be lazy, and that would be my bet for the future.
But that's the same argument that Amazon had with the subscription models a couple of years ago. They didn't really fly that much in Germany, did they?
No, they didn't. And I have to say that it's a kind of consequence out of reducing every click because it costs conversion. People are lazy.
Yeah.
And so for me, agentic commerce, buying through an agent is in the end reducing the last 3 clicks for checkout, and that is something we all searched for the last 3, 4, 5 years. And so I believe it is really the end of that journey, even if it's emotionless. But frustration is also an emotion, and I have it a lot when as a consumer in the internet.
But still, I'm with Jonathan there. You must defer between the product ranges. You will not buy a car within one session. It still is an investment. It still takes, I don't know, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks to build your buying decision. And there we have a longer customer journey. There is a certain price range where you can decide faster because AI helps you decide better maybe than it was before. So the range of products that you can buy within a short session goes a bit up, but there is still a threshold.
Of course, I believe the higher the cart value is, the more important is the identifying process with that buying process, and that you will not maybe in B2B, there are very high cart values without emotion maybe, but yes, for end consumers, this will be the case.
Jonathan, if I take your argument with the emotions, we're at a pretty early state of AI commerce. Will AI, will ChatGPT, will Google Gemini find a way of doing or transmitting inspiration of I had there was an article in a magazine I read yesterday, and the prompt was actually, ChatGPT help me by redecorating my office. That's an inspirational question, isn't it?
I would say it's a recommendation and it's not an inspiration. I think inspiration needs trust. Inspiration needs something new, something unseen. And I have my concerns regarding AI in this part of inspirational. Yeah, we can create a lot of fancy content. We all try to make cool images with Nano Banana 2, and we're all sitting in front of it and saying, wow, that's cool. But at the end of the day, people are still buying from brands and they want to get inspiration by a trustworthiness. This could be an influencer, this could be a brand. And I don't think that these chat interfaces we are using every day, you just change the name, you don't have that much space on the one hand. We saw today these super fancy landing pages, which we can now create with Shopware Studio. Definitely, it's cool, it's nice, looks fancy, but I don't know the situation of how do I get the people to the point of I want to get inspiration. And I don't think that this is, in the stage we have right now, is an AI task. This is still a brand task. This is still a human task. And that's why I would say AI is optimal for recommendations, because we are all at the end of the day, we are all humans and we behave in the same patterns. We are not that special. We think about that we are. So you can say, when you like black trousers, probably me, I'm also liking black trousers. So that's math at the end of the day, and that's not inspirational.
Contradiction, Paul?
No, not really, but admitting that you're both an exception for the rule that most inspiration I see is pretty uninspirational. So therefore, it's very easy for your eye to imitate something that's like something. And then you're totally right. That's not inspiration. So what the market has been doing in the past, especially as Efe already said with the marketplace, is just delivering on these different channels because you had to be there, right? And everybody who's going the extra mile, it doesn't matter in social or marketplaces or in the own shop, really won, right? Because they had the resources and chipped in, right? And built some inspirational pages, built some storyline. There was like Affensan that built some worlds around dinos, right? Where the kids can really interact with their favorite characters. And that's the stuff where you ask your CFO, where does the budget? What's the business case for it? And the business case is people want belonging to the brand. And if you don't focus on that, all your inspirational content just feels like a sales pitch with like these blog pages where everybody's writing the same stuff because there's a keyword volume and now there's intent. And we really need to ask ourselves, and I think both of you are doing a good job there, is what job are we actually solving, right? what's the real reason somebody's coming for decoration, or what's the intent of creating a nice light atmosphere in the garden, and you need to deliver that kind of answer for it. And of course AI can provide all of that, but many, let's say, merchants and also brands really like shrunk themselves to being a trader in a logistics party and just did some performance marketing and tried to sell more. And nowadays we have to sell better, because sell more doesn't bring us any further.
Okay, let's pull these two things out of each other. So there is a part of e-commerce happening via chatbots. It's growing, and there might be, if we as merchants do it well, a part that never happens on chatbots. So if we take the first part, so what's happening right now, what is for you the most important measure and the most important activity as a merchant to do to be part of the game within the chatbots?
Ironically, actually know your customer, because you can start monitoring some random prompt data sets in some geo kind of tracking tools, but are you really monitoring the right questions? And I'm pretty sure you don't, because you don't have an idea what your customer really wants, especially those that don't have like a long D2C heritage and just been in the wholesale game. So you really need to understand what job are you solving, what's the real genuine interest of your customers, and then you can start being present. Because if you're just cited for some stuff where you don't actually have a good value, the value is interesting and you monitor some numbers, but you don't really create value for your customers. So understanding your customers is pretty much the thing that remains, because you should start with that, and then therefore everything AI is just a logical consequence.
Yeah, but you have to look at it from new, because as I mentioned with the prompt, with the question, I said the questions that users or customers pose are different, because they didn't have the possibility of asking someone to redecorate their office before. So Jonathan, you mentioned trust within. How would you try to build trust to be seen as trustworthy source within ChatGPT with your offer?
I see it from two ways. Yeah, we have these chat interfaces we are using, and we want to be there, but at the end of the day, it's just shifting from Google search pages to a conversational situation. At the end of the day, now we can already buy with $20,000. I think you can already do advertisement in ChatGPT. So at the end of the day, this is nothing new. It's just changing how people are searching, and probably they're typing in not only one single keyword, but they are typing in a sentence or two, or even they are copying and pasting from their Word document. But at the end of the day, it's just a channel to get to my shop. And there, I think we need to get our first-party data AI ready, that consumers can interact with it. We don't need, and I don't want to be an API for Claude, ChatGPT, or Gemini. I want that this happens on my place, on my data. And I think this, what also Paul says, we need to put our consumer or customer into the center of our AI strategy, and we need to get our data question and answerable for them, because we have so much data. We have so much, the last 10 years, we all collected so much data. It's in our ERP system, it's in our CRM system, it's in our Shopware backend. But at the end of the day, all what we are seeing, also the innovations we saw today, is all for us as a merchant. But we don't get this data to our customers. And I think this is the future, to get people interacting with my data, and they can interact in a conversational way on my shop with my data. Because when I'm not doing this, I'm just an API, I'm a fulfill, I'm a logistic guy who is sending out articles.
What you didn't answer was the question how to get people from AI to your website. And is it so that because you're in B2B business, that you prepare for a possible future that you could lose, or not lose customers, but not gain more customers anymore, just focus on the existing customer base?
We are losing organic traffic. I think nobody is raising it. We are all losing this, to be honest. And there is a shift to another system, but you can replace Google or Bing or to ChatGPT. This is, from my perspective, nothing new. And it's also nothing new. You can call it geo or SEO or you can name it. But at the end of the day, still the same patterns. It's same the things we did the last 10 years. Yeah, we want to have structured data, we want to have outstanding content, and we're trying to be unique, and we want to show our brand. At the end of the day, this is we did the last 10 years already for Google. Yeah, and probably we will do it next 10 years also for Google, or it will change to Claude or to Anthropic or you name it.
Let's bring Thies with, but Paul, you're next. Direct answer?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I disagree with that a little bit because we as a manufacturer, we have our product data, of course, you also have. And we now had to see that we don't really master it for now. We are not ready to give the transparency that a large language model needs, theoretically, to give the perfect match. It's getting much larger problem or the possibility. You can be pretty sure that large language models can by the way maybe analyze how sustainable your company is, what the values behind your company are. So this is, in my opinion, it is a kind of very different way than Google search engine does by now or in the past. So I believe that there's a chance that the matching it's much better than before. So you will get a much higher conversion out of these traffic. So I believe it is surely a game changer.
So, what would you do to ameliorate that? Is something like classical PR, showing off in trustworthy news sources with your products, for example, is that a lever for being more visible in AI?
You know, for us in this moment, it's just an easier question. We have FAQs, of course, but they are not machine readable, so we have to push them into the system in the end. And this is with all communication with the customers, which is more than that, than just FAQs. So this is a level where we are working by now. And of course, if you have a machine that, or if you are doing good at PR, you will profit from that because it all will be mixed up in large language models, and you will really come more outside, I believe.
Okay. Paul, you had an amendment to make?
Yeah, I'm totally on both of your arguments, and I think we're not just losing traffic, we're losing probably the bigger picture, because we're still. But you're totally right. What continues is actually the structural decline of every merchant and brand, because the platforms are really taking over. At the moment, you probably showed some data I didn't see, but it's 70% marketplaces, right? So we ended up losing the connection to the customer. Yes, we need to serve that marketplaces and still own that stuff. And the problem is we're losing contact to the customers. And the bigger issue is, you're right in a certain degree that we really delegate this to a different system. But I think the biggest problem at the moment is people consider AI a channel. It is not a channel. It is an ecosystem that is way bigger than everything that has ever been built. You can take a look at the capex of the Magnificent Seven. They're building something that's way bigger than everything that has been there before. And it's built on top of compounding effects of internet, mobile, etc., etc. So the infrastructure is already there. And the question is, how do I fit into that infrastructure? What job am I actually serving? Where am I better than everybody else? And that question is hard to tell because everybody looking for these best practices. How can I be visible? How can I be, readable? And that's this effective kind of discussion we had. You're just doing something like everybody else. So you're not really standing out, and you need to be special with these kind of kids products, or like a very natural where you really have that personal belonging, or really do these recommendations and give inspiration. And it's actually not what everybody else is doing. So my best advice for everybody would be, stop looking for best practices and find it out on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have these human-to-human situation at the end of the
Absolutely.
day. People will buy from people they like. I think this will stay in the next 10 years or 20 years. And I think you need to put you need to empower your colleagues, your sales team, and so on to be more efficient. Yeah, we are all trying to be more efficient, but on the other way around, we need to focus on more conversations, human conversations, talking to each other, meaning something. I think this will be the trend for the next 10 years, that the brands who can deliver that I can call somebody, that I can rely on somebody, that I can send them an email, or a fax, or I don't know, and they know who's on the other side. I think this is something we, in this AI hype, we oversee currently.
You're definitely right. So everything what is real world counts. So if you have a store and you can make your products tangible, that's something AI can't do. But to bring even more pressure into that discussion, all what is on social media and influencers can at least solve or deliver a part of this purpose. There are people that users trust, and TikTok Shop has just begun. And the claim of TikTok Shop is it's about the customer journey is vanishing. It's gone. So if we take the 70% platforms and we put some on social commerce, then there's less left. But not to be too negative, let's do a closing round positively, because lunch is already prepared downstairs. Please give me one tactic and one tool you would now use and try to go forward to survive in an AI commerce environment. Please start with.
Yes, you already figured out that I'm more a techie than a marketing guy, I believe. So for me, it's absolutely Claude, and in companion with Shopware, because it's open code. And with Claude, that was my journey for the last year. You have an amazing tool stack to understand what is going on in your shop, things that you analyzed months before for hours, with a result that is sometimes hard to really make some profit of it. So that is for me an absolute game changer. I can we have an open project on GitHub with our agency Pixelite, and we so far I can check it out on my computer and ask Claude and work on it, and it gives me the answers that I need for my daily business, just in a few minutes. So that is what changed my my work very much.
And as Paul said, it's a very individual solution that is not off the shelf ChatGPT. You just have to, dig into and invest some resource. Jonathan?
I'm not the tech guy, but AI gives me the possibility to be. That's probably, and I will not recommend any tool. Build these tools you need because you have now the capabilities to do that. That's crazy, and we all
Talking of vibe coding for you.
Yes, of course. You're sitting in front of it, and I'm not a tech guy, and I can solve tasks I would have never been able to 1 year ago, or even 3 months ago. That's crazy. Do those things. And on the other hand, don't lose your customer. Don't focus on your customer, and get your data done. Get your data ready. Try out things. Invest into developers. Invest in tech, because these are the things which can last, and try to do failures. Think about MCPs. Think about a knowledge graph. Think about try those things out to find your perfect match.
Paul, finally?
Yeah, my tool, since you already brought up the vibe coding, would be like the tool that you all own, the second 50% of artificial intelligence. So it's your brain. So because we end up losing it to a certain degree. So we delegate so much of our decisions without really thinking about it. So my recommendation would be to use that tool wisely, because if you see the conversations in political and also in the TV, you start seeing some decline in also intelligence. So we really need to invest in that. And therefore, like a tactic would also be like really enable your people. The problem, because we do that a lot, we talk with all sizes of companies and different industries. The problem is people underestimate how heavy it is to really bring people to a level where they don't fear the technology, where can then use it like Thies can do it, and where they see our understanding and did enough exploration to build something that creates value. And this is something you really need to invest in. And since I need to probably still recommend a tool, is every tool that helps you to get to know the customer, because previously user research was way too heavy in terms of budget. this is no longer an excuse. So whatever tool helps you to get to know your customer, please use it, combined with your brain, because shipping more won't get you there.
I would exactly amend 2 tools, and I would start with the analytics or the measurement stuff. There's a tool from Cologne, exactly from Köln-Mülheim, which is about 5 kilometers from here. It's called Eve, and it's an emotion detection engine. It's about communication. I'm from marketing, so a different aspect of that. But if Jonathan is right, we have to build emotional connections to our customers if we don't have them yet. And this is an AI-based emotion detection engine, and you can measure how good your ads are with that, with AI. So something you could, in earlier days, only do with big focus groups, very expensively, very slow, and not agile at all. And now you would have a tool for that. And for me as a business person, Sherlock is a pretty good tool to leverage contact data from LinkedIn, which is obviously more B2B connection based, but compared to other tools, it's not like Sherlock takes over the communication. It's not about automizing communication. It's about just finding the data, getting to know people, and then you write your emails and your contact answers or questions yourself. So these are the tools. We have a lot more to discuss, but we don't have the time anymore. One more tip for the rest of the day. If you hear the acronym MCP server, look at that technology closely and from a strategic point, relative. Yeah, it's very convenient. Yes, it has very fast results. On the other hand, think about if it's possible that you get dependent from platforms, from AI, if you give them too much data. So there is something in between. Amazon does it less, Walmart does it more. So there are different strategies possible. Thanks a lot to my panel. Thanks a lot for your patience. I hope you're very hungry now, and I have a round of applause for my speakers.